Hey, brothers and sisters, welcome. We're starting a new series. We're going to start a series on wars and battles in Israel. Because we have a war in Israel. And I see all over the place, Ezekiel 38 setting up. There's an army. There's a war. Get out of here. Time to go home. Psalm 83 is already happening. Are these statements true? Some more than others? None of them really, but could be. I know. We're going to talk about this. And I was going to do a video and it'd probably be 3.5 hours. And so I'm going to break it up. We're going to do a series of videos. Today we're going to talk about how these wars, battles that are in prophecy relate to the rapture. Because that's what everybody's looking for. We're all looking for the rapture. I want to go home just as much as you do. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here and shovel you a bunch of garbage just to tickle your ears, try to get more subscribers, more likes. I'm going to tell you the way it is, what prophecy is saying, what the Bible teaches. The rapture is not like it can happen any day. It can only happen on Rosh Hashanah. Wait, wasn't that last month? So why am I going to talk about Rapture 2023? And you'll see why in a minute. But these battles, Psalm 83, that's the one we're looking for. A lot of people believe it's already occurred. No. Ezekiel 38, 39, Gog and Magog can happen midway through tribulation, actually a little before the midpoint, and then Armageddon at the end. Again, battle and war, same words in Hebrew. This could be a 7-year, or 8-year, 9-year, whatever, World War III, and it could just be, there could be a few battles in it, or these could be separate and distinct wars. And then you got Isaiah 17, the destruction of Damascus. And I believe it's, where is it, Jeremiah 49, about the prophecy against Elam. And we're going to talk about all these things. What we're going to find out is these battles, it's not a battle of ideology. It's not a battle of what's right and wrong. Or it's actually right and wrong. It's closest to it. It's actually, these battles are good versus evil. And we're going to see, particularly with Psalm 83, it goes back to the beginning. It goes back when Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of red stew. It goes back when Rebekah took Hagar out and Ishmael and sent them away. These are the rekindled battles that are going to happen during tribulation. And it's really cool when you start seeing all these things through Scripture. It's time consuming. It's tedious as we go through it. So we're going to, again, break this up into series. So right now, I'm just going to ask you, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you haven't been following me, you know I'm huge on Scripture. If you have been following me, you know that we can only get raptured on Rosh Hashanah, which was last month, unless the barley was not Aviv. If you go back and you look at the word Abib, it's like the only month in the Old Testament that had a name, and it's a condition of the barley. If the barley wasn't ready and you weren't going to have the first fruits for the Feast of First Fruits, the month didn't start. I've talked about this with the calendar and everything many times, but there's a chance the calendar could be off by a month. And everybody says, the calendar's off, the calendar's wrong, it's off by a month, it's off by 2 months, but nobody sits there and tells you why. If you don't know why, you can't make the statement, seriously. You can't just pick, somebody says it's off, so you believe it and you say it. I've done it, I know. I don't think the barley, I believe the barley was Aviv. I don't think the calendar is off. I would love to be wrong. But what I'm seeing in the headlines is blowing my mind, and that's why I wanted to talk. So let's talk about some of the headlines. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's like, oh my goodness. At this time, why don't we have a Speaker of the House? Why don't we have an ambassador to Israel? There are lots of questions. Why did Biden release $5 billion to Iran right before this happened? This is not what I'm going to get into. I just want to talk about what's going on in Israel, and and how it could affect the rapture. Now, Psalm 83, basically 5 to 7 nations must attack Israel at once. It's a conspiracy. They cut a covenant, a secret covenant that they agree that they're going to do this thing. Right now, the attack from Gaza is one. That's Philistia. But we also have rockets and attempted border incursion coming from Lebanon. That's another of the participants. There have been a few rockets from Syria. That's another one of the participants. That's 3. We don't have anything from Jordan. We don't have anything from Egypt. Those are 2 of the other main players. And again, we're going to walk through all these players and all these things in detail in upcoming videos. You have a call for Friday the 13th for all these nations to come against Israel. What's interesting is if the barley wasn't Aviv, the next new moon would be Rosh Hashanah, which is Saturday. That timing, that coincidence, I can't dismiss that. As much as I say, no, the barley was Aviv, our chances for the rapture in 2023 are over, I can't dismiss this. And as we go further, we will, in these other videos, I will show you why I believe that the rapture and Psalm 83 occurred about the same point. Some of the other headlines, I mean, I'm not going to cover the 1,200 or more people in Israel that were killed, although I'm saying it. Just the horrendous, unspeakable things that were done. And now Israel wants to wipe Hamas. I don't blame them. Imagine if Mexico did that to the United States. What would we do to Mexico? Think about it. When I say we, I mean the United States. I got to remember not everybody's here in the United States. What would China do if a country did that to China? But with Israel, I heard, I think it was Blinken, the Secretary of State for the United States, said that Israel has a right to defend itself, but it needs to be careful how it does that. You've got people already trying to stick up for the rights of those in Gaza. I get that. Now, on the other end, if people are saying, destroy all of Gaza, there's a problem there because that's human life. There's a lot of innocent people that are being killed. That's not something we celebrate. That's not something God would celebrate. But this war is going to happen. There's going to be a ground invasion going into Gaza. The call right now is for a 2-state solution, and even pushing it harder. That, from Israel's standpoint, is not even remote consideration. They want to wipe out these terrorists that are on their border. It's going to set up more friction than we've had in that region in a long time. Israel's saying that we're not going back. Future is not going to look like the past. So rapture doesn't happen in the coming days. This conflict will boil up again. And I believe at that point, it will be the Psalm 83 war. And what we're also going to talk about is I forget the word for it, but there's a concept in the Muslim religion, several of them, that are at play. One is that if land has ever belonged to Muslims, it is Muslim land. And to allow somebody else to live there would show that their God is greater than Allah. And what do they run around saying all the time? Allah is greater. Allah is greater. Allah is greater than who? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh, they believe that God exists. They just think Allah is greater. That's why they want to wipe Israel off the face of the map. There's going to be a lot of interesting things that we take a look at. But right now, in the next couple of days, we could be going home. I see there's a slight chance, a remote chance, before I had dismissed it completely. I would speak of it, but saying, I really don't think it's a chance. But to see the potential for Psalm 83 there is really cool, is really wild. It's not here yet. Because Jordan needs to attack. And these need to be not just sending a few rockets. There needs to be a conspiracy with all of these countries attacking at the same time. Is this what happens on Friday? We'll have to wait and see. The other videos should be up fairly soon. And also the second video for the book of Matthew will be out on the Sabbath on Saturday morning. God bless you, brothers and sisters. Maranatha.